עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם. מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם, שלום עליכם.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is wonderful to see everyone who is joining us here in the sanctuary on this hard to believe last Shabbat of February. Where is the month gone? And we welcome all who are joining us from home. If you are at home, this is a great time to grab your candlesticks, perhaps grab a glass of wine, as together we welcome in Shabbat with our candles and kiddush. And as these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. So we welcome in the light and the warmth and the peace of Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And if you have a grape beverage, be it wine or grape juice at home, and if you're able to rise, I invite you to do so at this time. Take up that cup, and we join in together for our Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadsho be'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lemaaseh bereshit ki hu yom techilah lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu acharta yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. And we say together, L'chaim, to life. L'chaim, l'chaim.
You may be seated. So this week feels like we are sitting amid chaos, especially as all eyes are turned toward Ukraine. I don't know about you, but I spent a good part of yesterday educating myself about the history of Ukraine. I knew a little, but honestly, I didn't know much beyond the Pale of Settlement being located in part of Ukraine, knowing that lots of Jews, likely many of your family, came from Ukraine, and that it became an independent country after the fall of the Soviet Union. I have since learned, and that's just basic, I have since learned a little more. It is one of the largest countries in Europe, land mass-wise, and historically, because of where it sits, while it once was an independent nation, it has been conquered by many different peoples. And now it is being invaded by Russia. I'm not here to get into the politics of this invasion or to talk about what our government should or shouldn't do. What I'd like to focus on is how does this affect us, and that us being Jews. Kol Yisrael arevim ze bezeh. All Israel, all Jews are responsible for one another. At times such as this, these words always ring true for me. Prior to World War II, the Jewish population of Ukraine was quite large. Before the Russian Revolution, Jewish life was vibrant in Ukraine. From the large cities to the shtetls and villages, just think Fiddler on the Roof. And since the fall of the Soviet Union, Jewish life is quite vibrant in Ukraine. In the large cities like Kiev, pardon me if I mispronounce this, Dnipro, Kharkiv, and Odessa, there are dozens of synagogues, there are kosher restaurants, there are kindergartens and day schools, and Dnipro houses the largest Jewish community center in Europe. I encourage you to look it up online. It is the most amazing looking building. At the largest part, it is 22 stories tall, and it looks like a menorah. It was meant to look like a 7-branched menorah. And the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, is Jewish. How many countries in the world have a Jewish president? 2. Israel and Ukraine. It is believed that there are over 100,000 active Jews in Ukraine, with actual numbers of those eligible for citizenship in Israel via ancestry and the right of return, sitting somewhere between 200 to 400,000. And 100 people already landed in Israel this past week seeking safety. What can we, Jews and the Jewish community, do to help, to feel some control in the midst of the chaos instead of feeling powerless? Surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, the answer lies in the midst of this week's parashah. This week's Torah portion begins with Moses convening the community, Vayakel Kahal Kehila, bringing together the community. Parshat Vayakel comes on the heels of the golden calf. And in thinking about this parashah with some of my colleagues, it took on new meaning for me with a discussion about Vayakel being a parashah of instruction, perhaps instruction needing, or something that was needed when coming out of the chaos of the golden calf. The first instruction of this parashah is to observe Shabbat. This is clearly not the first time we've been told to observe Shabbat, but on the heels of a loss of faith with the golden calf, what do? We renew ourselves and we renew our covenant with God by observing Shabbat. We rest, we honor God. This is something that sets us apart. It allows us to rest from the chaos. Next, everyone in the community gives to the building of the Mishkan or the tabernacle, whether in items, in specific tangible things, or in skilled labor. Kol Yisrael, all of Israel, is responsible for the building of the community. And then there are very precise instructions. I mean, down to how big walls need to be, what kind of wood needs to be used, or where the gold is, how many cubits. It is very precise, and when you read it, you might think, what am I to do with this? But perhaps sometimes when chaos reigns, to help us deal, what helps us feel like we are taking some control, or at least doing something, might be precise instructions. Doing, building, in this case, the tabernacle that is at the center of the community, it helps to heal from the chaos that was brought about by the golden calf. The Israelites can do something together. They can help repair the damage that was done to the entire community. And that's not just physical damage, but emotional and spiritual damage. With Vaya Kel as a springboard for doing, perhaps for repair and for healing, we can then think about what it is that we as Jews can do to respond to the situation in Ukraine. Let's start with Shabbat, just as Moses did. We can stop and observe Shabbat by lighting candles, resting, allowing ourselves to just relax. We can pray. Rabbi Yehuda Kurtzer today suggested that we pray for wiser heads to prevail, for good to triumph over evil, for our brothers and sisters who are in harm's way to escape their suffering with their lives and their dignity intact. We can do some reading and some learning about the Jewish community in Ukraine. The Jewish Telegraphic Agency, JTA, has some incredible articles. As I mentioned, there's a surprising amount of Jewish infrastructure and life going on today. Synagogues, JCCs, Jewish buildings. Tonight, they are serving as safe havens for the community during this challenging time. And as Rabbi Bellows pointed out in his Shabbat message, tzedakah is one thing we can do. Tzedakah is what helps us not only build, but also maintain our kahal, our community. After Shabbat, consider giving to the Joint Distribution Committee, to the World Union for Progressive Judaism, and our own St. Louis Jewish Federation has a fund. All these monies go toward helping the Jewish communities of Ukraine who need resources to help them survive, and for some, even escape. These tools of prayer, study, and tzedakah to help vulnerable Jews in their moment of need, these are not nothing. They are powerful tools. Prayer allows us to envision and ask for a better world, and prayer even motivates us to actively work for a better world. Study allows us to learn, to understand, and to take our knowledge and to put it into action. And the Midrash on this week's Parsha reminds us that when the Israelites gave all they could for building the Mishkan, the tabernacle, it was an act of faith and love. The Torah recognized that the Mishkan couldn't be built nor sustained by one person alone. It took everyone giving something to build it and to sustain it. From the Midrash, we learn that when everyone gave, they were rewarded with God in their midst. This is what we are called to do, to pray, to learn, and to give, with the idea of bringing God into our midst, bringing God into this world to bring peace and to bring comfort. And I share with you tonight a prayer for peace that was written 200 years ago by Rabbi Natan Sternhartz in the Ukraine. He was a disciple of Reb Nachman of Bratslav, and this prayer was translated into English by Rabbi Oren Hayon. May it be your will, Adonai, our God, and God of our ancestors, that war and bloodshed should vanish from the earth. And may we know a great and wondrous peace, so that nation will not lift up sword against nation, nor will they study war anymore. May all the inhabitants of the earth come to recognize and know the truth that we were not brought into the world for the sake of war and discord, not for the sake of hatred or jealousy or bloodshed, but that we were brought into the world that we might know you and your endless blessings. May the scriptural promise come to pass. I will grant peace to the world that you may settle there, and none will make you afraid. I will spare the land from vicious beasts, and the sword will never again pass through your territory. And together we say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. And we continue as we welcome in Shabbat, welcoming in our Shabbat bride with Lecha Dodi on page 138 and page 139. And when we get to the final verse on page 139, we will rise. For those in the sanctuary, we will turn toward the back doors. And if you are at home, you'll rise and turn toward an entryway to your home to welcome in the bride.
Alecha lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat Kabbalah, la 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat Kabbalah. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Yishmi'anu el hameyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shamo echad, v'shemo tiferet v'leitchila la 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat Kabbalah. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor haveracha, merosh mikedem nisucha, sofa aseh b'machshava tchila la 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat ka. Please rise. Pene Shabbat Kabbalah. Face the back door. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat Kabbalah. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emone am segula, boi chala. You can face the front now. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat Kabbalah, la 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat Kabbalah. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, pene Shabbat Kabbalah.
And we continue on page 146 as we remain standing for Baruch Hu.
Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Ya la la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
And we continue on page 148 as we join together in the Hebrew of Ma'ariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtsono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. On page 150, we read together. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 152, we join together in Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
And as we are seated, we continue on page 154 in the Hebrew with Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shokbecha u'b'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot ayadecha v'hayu litotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'sha'arecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihiot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem emet.
And we turn to page 157, and at the middle of the page, we read responsively, paragraph by paragraph. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Page 158, Mi Chamocha.
Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha nedar v'kodesh. Nora tehilot, Osef Eleh. Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Moses and the children crossed the sea. We sang to you his songs of joy. Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi chamocha nedar v'kodesh. Nora tehilot, Osef Eleh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi chamocha nedar v'kodesh.
We turn to page 160 as we join together in Hashkivenu, our evening prayer for peace.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom. Hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom. Hamidenu shomreinu
And as we prepare for the Amidah, we turn to page 163. And as our thoughts and our hearts are turned toward Ukraine, certainly a region that is a complicated place for our people. While there are so many Jews who still live there, it is a place that sometimes was good for us and sometimes really was a terrible place for us. And as we look at the top of page 163, these words seem to jump off the page. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. And we turn now in our prayer books to page 164 as we rise for the Amidah.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Libnei B'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Page 168. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed. Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofei cholim umatir asurim umekayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha ba'al gevurot umidomelach melech memit umechayeh ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. Page 170. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. And we turn to page 173, and we offer a prayer for the gift of Shabbat, a gift we've been given this day of rest. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. And we turn to page 177, and we offer a prayer of gratitude. Because even in those moments that seem like they are the darkest of moments, our tradition teaches us that we always stop and we always find one thing for which we can be thankful or grateful. And so we pause for a moment. I ask each of you to think of that one thing from this week, even if it's small, that you can hold on to as a blessing of gratitude. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lahodot. And on page 178, we can never offer too many prayers for peace. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people, forever. For you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. And we turn in our prayer books to page 376 and page 377. And there first we'll find a prayer for our country. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen. And at the bottom of the next page, we offer a prayer for the state of Israel. And certainly this week during this time, we are thankful that Israel exists. We are thankful that there is a safe haven for those Jews who are seeking safety, and that Israel can open its doors to them. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. And now we turn back in our prayer books to page 371. And at this time in our service, we think of those in our community, our friends, our loved ones, those who are in need of healing, be it a spiritual healing, a physical healing. And if you are thinking of someone who is in need of healing, in just a moment we'll rise together, and together we will call those names aloud, sending them out into the universe to receive and be part of these blessings of healing. And if you have a name to offer, I ask you, whether you're in the sanctuary or at home, to please rise now and offer those names. And we take all of those names into our hearts, and may God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit as we join together in our prayer for healing, Mishaberach.
Source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Yisheverach bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And we take a moment for silent and personal prayer. Shalom, shalom bimromah, hu ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Say shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen.
Shabbat Shalom. Hi, I'm Cheryl Bauer, President of the Board of Trustees. Tomorrow here at United Hebrew, we have Torah study that's at 9 o'clock. It's in the chapel or on Zoom. After that, we have Shabbat morning services and the bat mitzvah of Lainey Bass, and that'll be at 10:30 tomorrow. Musar class at 12:30 via Zoom with Rabbi Rosenberg. Then at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, we will usher out Shabbat with Next Week Now, and that will be on live stream. Other upcoming events from February 18th through April 3rd, United Hebrew's excited to have our liturgist, Alden Solovey, who's back with us as our liturgist in residency. Lots of events with him, so certainly check out the website for that. Also, next Friday evening, we have our Shabbat Alive with our artist in residence, Rick Reck, and that will be our services at 6:30 next Friday evening. Then, March 31st through April 2nd, we're excited to welcome back artists in residence Dan Nichols and Alan Goodis. And also that weekend on April 2nd is our gala to honor Rabbi Kaplansky and Rabbi Rosenberg. So please think about coming to that. For additional information on upcoming classes and programs, please visit our UH website. Lots of good stuff out there. Thank you to our tech team for making it possible for all of us to be together virtually this evening. And our gift shop is open on Sundays when we have religious school, and that is from 9 to 12, or you can make an appointment to visit the gift shop. Shabbat Shalom.
And just to add that Musar will also, you can also come to Musar in person in the chapel if you'd like to do that and not be on Zoom. And to put on your calendar, thinking ahead, March 11th. So March 4th, next Friday night, is Shabbat Alive. March 11th is Disney Shabbat. That is our fun Shabbat in the spirit of Disney, the Shabbat before Purim. And speaking of Purim, on page 379, we find the prayer for Rosh Chodesh, for the new month, as this upcoming week we welcome in the second month of Adar. So Adar Bet, our God and God of our ancestors, may the new month bring us goodness and blessing. May we have long life, peace, prosperity, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine, a life in which the longings of our hearts are fulfilled for good. Rosh Chodesh Adar Bet Yihye B'Yom Revi'i. The new month of Adar Bet, or Adar 2, will begin on Thursday. And we turn now in our prayer books to page 586 as we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 591. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. And we turn in our prayer books to page 596. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust in the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear. But if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction he learned the law of God. And in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wish to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. In this Shabbat, we have the sacred duty and the sacred honor to dedicate a name on our Rabbi Samuel Thurman memorial wall. This Shabbat, we lovingly dedicate the name of Kenneth Ken Heller on our memorial wall. And each year, as we reach his yahrzeit, we will lovingly call his name aloud and remember him here at United Hebrew Congregation. And this week, the heartfelt condolences of our congregation go out to the families of Ronald Ron Blumenfeld and Sharon Nagorner Engman. This week, we're in the period of Shloshim for Bernice Frankel Agatstein, Iris Buffin, Jacqueline Jackie Mayer, Donna Nettles, Dr. Sheldon Rudnick, Kenneth Dean Sirks, MD. And this week, this Shabbat, we observe the yahrzeits and we lovingly remember John P. Abel Jr., Leah K. Arbetter, Ruth C. Aronson, Dr. Donald J. Bauer, Lois L. Bauer, Michael J. Bauer, Molly Berry, Morris Birnbaum, Jenny Blumenthal, Jean Branner, Clara Sitterman, Jack Cohen, Bertha W. Kraselnik, Harry L. Crown, Esther Deichman, Sarah Hallie Edison, Marvin Meyer Feldman, Lily Y. Furman, Earl M. Fishgall, Henry L. Fishman, Charles Ginsberg, Joseph L. Glazer, Sarah Glazer, Clarence Goldberg, Frida Goldberg, Fred A. Goldberg, MD, Glenn Stephen Goodman, Meyer Mike Goodman, Sana Guggenheim, Kenneth Ken Heller, Morris Hirschenhorn, Rose Hess, Anna Heiken, Jenny Hirschberg, Lillian Hurwitz, Harry C. Josephson, Ruth Cohen Katz, Hyman Kaufman, Philip Kootman, Gary Cunnan, Max Lending, George Levin, Sharon Greenwald Levitt, Louis Light, Louis Lurie, Adolf Mandelker, Marie Mandelker, Sam Marcus, Arthur Mathis, Solomon Meyer, Babette Nathan, Samuel Niederberg, Bernadine E. Neiman, Harold G. Oglander, Bess Olean, Joan Frank Plattner, Eileen Polinsky, Rachel Portnoy, Cecile I. Raskus, Sadie Rickensaw, Dr. Arthur A. Rufa, Esther Rose Satz, Sam Schneider, Leon S. Schwartz, Sylvia Shapiro, Max Silverman, Alvin J. Silverman, Fanny Sophia, Arthur Steinberg, Hannah Kaufman Stern, Emmanuel Nathan Stern, Rabbi Samuel Thurman, who served our congregation with distinction as rabbi, June Finn Treiner, Rudolph A. Tudor, Alvin R. Yukman, Lillian Wolkowitz, Evelyn S. Werdak, Jeanette Zetcher. Zichronam livracha, may each of their memories be for blessing as we turn to page 598 and we rise for the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal ve'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah. Bialma divra chirute v'amlich malchute. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Omei Almaya. Yit Barach Ve'yish Tabach Ve'yit Pa'ar Ve'yit Romam Ve'yit Naseh. Ve'yit Hadar Ve'yit Haleh Ve'yit Halal Shemei Tekudasha Berechu. Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata. Tushbachata V'Nechamata. Damiram Be'alma Ve'imru Amen. Yehi Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya. V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ve'imru Amen. Osei Shalom Bimromav. Hu Ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ve'imru Amen. And on this Shabbat of Parashat Vayakhel, following the chaos of the golden calf, following the confusion, the Torah recognizes that what we need coming out of that is not just instruction, but rest. And so on this Shabbat, when chaos reigns in our world so far away, we look to Shabbat, a day of holiness and a day of rest, and we offer this prayer. May you find a sacred rhythm in your life, a habit of punctuating your days of work with a seventh day of absolute rest. May the gift of rest bless you with awareness of what is really important to you. May Shabbat restore your soul and offer holiness to ease your mind and heal your spirit. May you play and take a walk, enjoy food and friends, and take comfort, easy and long, in the blessing of sacred rest. Amen.
And we sing together how beautiful this Shabbat is and how we are so grateful to be together. We sing Ma Yafeh Hayom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. If you're by somebody that you'd like to put your arm around, this would be a time to do it. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.